Imagine a moment in time when a baby destined for greatness is floating down a river in a basket. The sun blazes overhead, and the fate of an entire people hangs in the balance. This is the beginning of the extraordinary life of Moses, a life marked by danger, destiny, and divine intervention. Born during a time of great oppression, Moses' journey begins in the most unlikely way. His mother, in a desperate act to save him from Pharaoh's decree to kill all Hebrew baby boys, places him in a basket and sets him afloat on the Nile River. Unbeknownst to her, this act would set in motion a chain of events that would not only save her child's life, but also alter the course of history. The basket carrying Moses is found by Pharaoh's daughter, who raises him as her own, unaware that she is adopting the one who would ultimately challenge her father's reign. From the very beginning, Moses' life was shaped by both peril and providence, with God's plan unfolding in the most unlikely of ways. Welcome to our journey through one of the most powerful stories in the Bible. The story of Moses is not just a tale of a man, it's a story of hope, courage, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. Moses' life is a testimony of how God works through ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. From his humble beginnings as an orphan raised in the Egyptian palace to his calling as the one chosen to confront Pharaoh and demand the release of the Israelites, Moses' journey is a remarkable tale of faith and leadership. His courage in the face of overwhelming odds, his persistence in the face of opposition, and his unwavering trust in God's promises make him one of the greatest figures in biblical history. Today, we'll explore how an orphan became the leader who defied a tyrant, led his people out of slavery, and delivered them to freedom. Let's dive into the life of Moses and discover what we can learn from his incredible journey, one that continues to inspire us today in our own quests for justice, faith, and freedom. Before we continue, we want to hear from you. What does freedom mean to you? Freedom is a powerful and often deeply personal concept. Is it the freedom to make choices, to live without fear, or the ability to pursue your dreams? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start a conversation about what freedom truly means to each of us. It's a theme that echoes through the story of Moses, whose journey from oppression to liberation mirrors the longing for freedom in all our lives. Born during a time of intense oppression and suffering, Moses was an Israelite baby destined for greatness. At the time of his birth, Pharaoh had decreed that all Hebrew boys should be killed in an attempt to control the growing Israelite population. However, Moses' mother, defying the decree, placed him in a basket and set him afloat on the Nile River. In a remarkable twist of fate, Pharaoh's daughter discovered the basket, and she took the baby as her own, unknowingly raising the child who would one day challenge her father's rule. Moses' life began in danger and uncertainty, but even then, there was divine intervention at play. Though he grew up in Pharaoh's palace, surrounded by luxury and power, Moses was never truly Egyptian. His identity as an Israelite would come to define his life's purpose. Little did Pharaoh's daughter know, the child she raised would grow up to be the leader who would demand the freedom of the Israelites and confront the most powerful ruler in the world. Moses' early life was a miraculous survival, but his destiny was to become a beacon of hope for a nation in bondage. As Moses grew older, he became increasingly aware of his true identity as an Israelite. Though raised in Pharaoh's court, he could not ignore the suffering of his people, the slaves who toiled under the harsh rule of the Egyptians. One day, Moses witnessed an Egyptian taskmaster cruelly beating a Hebrew slave, and in a moment of anger and justice, Moses struck down the Egyptian, killing him. This act of violence forced Moses into exile, and he fled to the wilderness to escape Pharaoh's wrath. But it was in the solitude of the desert at Mount Horeb that Moses would experience one of the most profound moments of his life. There, in a burning bush that was not consumed by the flames, God spoke to Moses, calling him to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites out of their oppression. It was a divine encounter that would set the stage for Moses' ultimate mission: to free the Israelites from slavery and lead them to the Promised Land. In that moment, Moses was no longer just a man in exile. He was chosen by God for a purpose far greater than himself. His journey was about to take a dramatic turn, and the freedom of a nation would rest on his obedience to God's call. The story of Moses unfolds during a time of great turmoil in Egypt, around 1300 BCE. Egypt, under the rule of Pharaoh, had enslaved the Israelites for centuries, and their cries for deliverance had reached the heavens. Moses' return to Egypt was not just a homecoming. It was a call to arms against the most powerful empire in the world at the time. Pharaoh, however, was not easily swayed, and he met Moses' demands for the release of the Israelites with stubborn resistance. In response, God unleashed 10 devastating plagues upon Egypt, each one serving as a powerful message of defiance against oppression and a demonstration of divine power. From turning the Nile River to blood, to infestations of frogs, lice, and locusts, the land of Egypt was ravaged. The plagues struck the Egyptians in such a way that they could no longer deny the existence and authority of the God of Israel. After each plague, Pharaoh would relent briefly, only to harden his heart once again. It wasn't until the final plague, which claimed the life of Pharaoh's firstborn, that Pharaoh finally relented, allowing Moses and the Israelites to leave. After the final plague, the Israelites fled Egypt in haste, leaving behind a life of bondage and oppression. They crossed the Red Sea in one of the most miraculous moments in history. As Moses raised his staff, the waters parted, allowing the Israelites to pass through on dry land. When Pharaoh's army pursued, the waters closed in, drowning the entire Egyptian force. This dramatic escape left the Egyptian army in awe and despair, and the Israelites were free. However, their journey was far from over. They wandered in the desert for 40 years, a period marked by hardship and divine provision. The desert was harsh, and the Israelites faced numerous challenges that tested their faith, trust in God, and resilience. Yet, through these trials, God provided manna, water from rocks, and guidance through the fiery cloud and pillar of smoke. The wilderness was not just a physical journey. It was a spiritual refining process for the people of Israel, preparing them to enter the Promised Land. Moses' story is more than a tale of one man's leadership. It represents the universal struggle for freedom and justice. He not only led his people out of slavery, but he also brought down the 10 Commandments, guiding the Israelites morally and spiritually. His leadership taught them about faith, obedience, and the importance of community. The 10 Commandments were not just rules. They were principles that shaped a people and a nation. Moses' journey from exile to Exodus serves as a testament to the power of hope and perseverance, showing us that even in the face of impossible odds, freedom and redemption are possible. His story continues to inspire those who fight for justice, truth, and the pursuit of a better future. Through unwavering faith, determination, and the support of his people, Moses became a vessel of God's will. Despite being an unlikely leader, a former exile, and a man who questioned his own abilities, Moses answered God's call. He faced intense doubts and fears, not only from Pharaoh but also from the very people he was trying to liberate. The Israelites, weary from centuries of oppression, often questioned Moses' leadership and even rebelled against him during their journey through the wilderness. At times, Moses faced anger and frustration from his people, who doubted God's promises and longed for the comforts of Egypt. Yet, through it all, Moses remained steadfast in his mission. He found strength in God's guidance, leading the people not by his own power, but by the divine strength and direction he received. His story inspires us to face our own challenges with courage and conviction. even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Moses' persistence in the face of adversity reminds us that true leadership and success often come from staying true to one's purpose, no matter how difficult the journey may be. As we reflect on Moses' journey, we are reminded that no matter how daunting our circumstances may seem, freedom and hope are always within reach. Moses' story teaches us that we can rise above our challenges, no matter how insurmountable they appear, and lead others toward a brighter future. Whether facing personal struggles, societal injustice, or overwhelming obstacles, Moses shows us the power of faith, resilience, and divine intervention. His life reminds us that even in our lowest moments there is always a way forward. If you found inspiration in this tale, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. What part of Moses' story resonates with you? Is there a moment in your own life where you've had to rise above adversity? Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and strength in your own journey, and remember that, just like Moses, we are never alone in our pursuit of freedom and hope.